Hey everyone, it's your COVID having girl, Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh, and today I'm talking to you about Pulsations from the Black Orb, from the Costa Rica based project Astriferous. And this is coming off of Mesako Unoho Records. And Astriferous plays death metal. And Astriferous plays a death metal that is dead set on being just that. It's gruesome, it's pummeling, it's aggressive, and it kind of is not trying at all to leave that core foundation of death metal. But while sticking so much and emphasizing the roots of the genre, this is not a rudimentary death metal album. It doesn't feel like it because it's not. So, what does make this record stand out? Well, for starters, and this is something I've kind of come to expect from Mesako Unoho releases, is just how dense and impenetrable this record feels. It's cavernous in a way that I feel like a lot of bands try for. But on this record, it doesn't feel like it's something this band is trying for at all. It just is cavernous naturally, and it is that way effortlessly. And then there's the riff. There's so many of these riffs, and there's a certain spaciness to them while never really leaving that core death metal arsenal. After this buzzing, kind of cosmic sounding intro, we get Blinding the Seven Eyes of God, which features these tailing off riffs that feel like they're going in like 1,000 different directions at once. It's as if these tentacles are vigorously reaching out and then pulling back in. And then these patterns are usually tail-ended with a super satisfying bend or harmonic. It's really nasty. Vocally, we get these deep growls that are delivered with such a harshness and a vengeance. And it's recorded in a way that it feels as if it's being performed in this very large room. And the vocals are filling that room completely. A lot of deliciously breakneck twists and turns, tempo changes galore, fiery leads that feel like they're coming out of nowhere. It just feels like utter chaos, yet it feels so controlled and deliberate. And then their album often succeeds in delivering these big moments. A moment such as towards the end of this track, where you get these monstrous double-tracked vocals that are carried by this maniacal series of blast beats and discordant riffing. It's complete hell that leaves me in awe. Teleport Haze introduces this kind of techie groove. There's a complexity here, yet with a focus, an intense focus on mood and songcraft. You get these kind of pinging leads that feel like as if they're sending messages to your synapses. It's really cool. And percussion-wise, it just adds so much weight to the track. It's as if the drums are functioning as a lead instrument at times. And the bass work is really cool as well. Throughout this track and really the record as a whole, the bass is very distinguishable, adds these sort of rubbery runs underneath that creates this heightened layer of nausea for you. On Metasymbiosis, I love these chopping, snapping, throw you off your chair riffs that never really land anywhere or resolve itself. And it's accompanied by these disorienting and intensely frenzied drum patterns. On Ominous and Malevolent, the band demonstrates a real understanding of atmosphere. And the way the band utilizes and showcases that is through pressure. And what I mean by that is the music will often feel so constricting. And then the band will kind of lay off the gas only to bring it back double. And the tonality here and the way the band layers their tracks and instruments to achieve this desired effect, they really excel at that. These galloping, off-kilter, just odd leads sound super exciting to my ears, menacing, acidic, and just plain pissed. It's what I want from my death metal. And the bleakness and the despair that the band is able to conjure, especially in this certain moment where the vocals are put back in the mix to sound particularly despondent. The band's ability to do this is fantastic. On Lunamancy, I like how the vocals and the guitars play with one another, both rhythmically and harmonically. You can kind of see these distinct lines that the two instruments are drawing with one another. You get some more of these slow, psyche passages that add some diversity here, and it works really, really well for them. And there's just this hollowness and this lifeness looming over this cut. It's suffocating as fuck. Symmetries that should not be has this gnarly and meaty groove to it. The primary riff is pretty patient, but in a way that allows every aspect of it to reverberate fully. You should just vibe with it. I love some of these sweeps that are baked into the passages here. It adds a lot of dimension. And overall, this track plays with a certain theme. It does feel rather alien and otherworldly, yet super grounded and accessible at the same time. Really speaks for something this record does very well throughout. Pulsations from the Black Orb is a death metal album that is pretty straight to the point, yet it feels so much bigger and more advanced than that. This is a death metal record from a band that understands atmosphere and how to be a quote-unquote cavernous death metal band without that sounding forced. And that's what really wins me over here. The songcraft is there. The riffs are memorable as hell. The album feels crushing and heavy and gruesome and particularly hard to look at. And there's a knack for texture and how to vary that to progress a track forward. And Astriferous has an eye for the minutia and the in-between details that I think a lot of death metal can often miss or overlook. And that's why I'm recommending it to you. And that's the end of my review. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed this, consider hitting that like button. It would mean the world to me if you'd consider subscribing leave a comment. I love engaging with those. I have a Twitter you can follow. Link to that is in the bio of this YouTube channel. I do have a Ko-Fi. If donating to the show financially is something you're interested in, I feel no obligation whatsoever. I do not expect that. And hey, keep it metal. My name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh, and I'm signing off.